The Magnus Carlsen Invitational tournament began today. 8 players battling it out for a total prize fund of $250,000. Now, this is a real first, an elite tournament being played online. We're in new territory, and Magnus has done a great job of attracting a stellar lineup here. He's invited all his old rivals and some new ones as well. So we've got Anish Giri, Hikaru Nakamura, of course, numbers 2 and 3 in the world, Fabiano Caruana and Ding Liren. We've got Nepo, we've got MVL, and of course the up-and-coming Ali Reza Firuzja as well. It's tremendous. Rapid play games, 15 minutes on the clock plus 10 seconds increment. It's an all-play-all tournament. Each match consists of 4 games. First round, Nakamura played against Carlsen. They traded wins. It got to 2-2 after the 4 rapid play games. That meant they played 1 Armageddon game, 5 minutes for white, 4 minutes for black. Minute less for black, but black has draw odds. Carlsen won the toss and chose black. So here is this decider, this Armageddon game. Nakamura with white in a must-win situation. Both players playing very quickly. I mean, of course, not just in this blitz game, but actually in the rapid play games as well. Probably too quickly. Both players, of course, have been playing a lot of online blitz chess and bullet chess, and it kind of looked like it. You know, they weren't calm enough. And actually, Carlsen was kind of kicking himself for throwing away the lead twice. So what have we got here? We've got a Scheveningen Sicilian played by Carlsen. So we saw him in the past playing the Svechnikov Sicilian with black, and then he more recently switched back to the Najdorf as well. I think it's a good move for him to play another kind of Sicilian. He needs to keep his opponents guessing. And of course the Scheveningen is absolutely acceptable for black. It was Kasparov's favourite way of playing the Sicilian. And we've got, well, I would say the sort of main line here of the Chev. And here, of course, the normal move is just for white to castle. Instead, Nakamura played knight b3 after, very little reflection. Just, moved it really quickly. And this gives black more freedom. Basically, the knight doesn't really belong here. It sometimes moves there, but actually it's better to keep it on d4 because that restricts black's queenside development. So here, straight away, black can play b6, so that knight is an emprise now, and position that bishop on the best diagonal, the long diagonal. Pressure on e4. Normally in the Chevy, the bishop ends up on d7. It's far better on b7. So already in his haste, Nakamura has played an inaccurate move, and this is a comfortable position for black. So you can see that Carlsen is swinging this knight around, might come in here. Sometimes it might free the bishop to come to this diagonal, but basically sort of initiating play on the queen side. And now Nakamura went for it, g4. Well, when I'm playing with black in these kind of Sicilian positions, I love to see my opponent advancing like this because it just weakens white's king. So many players, you see it, push these pawns. It's actually very hard to open up black's king position here, as we're about to find out. Carlsen played knight a5. It's a good move, typical of this kind of position. Naturally, white can exchange. Doesn't really matter too much about these double pawns. Basically, now these files have opened up, and black will position the major pieces on the B and C files and has very natural counterplay. I still think white should play like this, because in the game, Nakamura again just playing very quickly through the G pawn up the board again, and that allowed this knight to sit on C4, attacking the bishop, attacking the pawn on B2. So the bishop had to drop back, and that is really uncomfortable for white, because look, that rook is trapped in the corner. Should be over here somewhere. One of these squares, not on A1. And now Carlsen really seized the initiative. He played E5, undermining the pawn on G5. And in this position, well, you really just want to put that pawn back on G2. That would be the best move for white in this position. But no, we can't cheat, and what's done is done. Pawns cannot move backwards, something that a lot of players forget. So Nakamura is struggling. Put the bishop back to attack the knight, which was simply defended. And the pawn advanced to cover the pawn on G5. And now Carlsen opens up the position, which means that this knight now has this wonderful square to sit on in the middle of the board. So that knight just sort of peers over the ramparts into white's position and covers those squares. So white is starting to be really restricted now. And just look at that king. Compare it with black's king. That's often a marker of who stands better in a position. Whose king is safer? Well, look at black's king snug behind those pawns, that lovely warm duvet of pawns. Black's king is completely safe. White's is, well, potentially in big trouble. Knight d5 thrown in, and now knight g6. Good move, attacking the rook, attacking the pawn. If rook g4, then we can simply move this knight in, and the rook has to move away. So rook f2, rook drops. Now, it's possible to take on h4, but Carlsen, well, ever the pragmatist, saw that active knight on d5 and thinks, right, get rid of it. Fair enough. Pawn takes, and knight takes h4. So it's looking very good for black. I wonder if Carlsen had overlooked queen d4, attacking both knights. It was a blitz game, it's possible. But having reached this position, even if he had overlooked it, in fact, black is doing fine, more than fine. Bishop takes g5. So Nakamura at least manages to grab this piece, but actually black now has this exchange and queen g5 check, which sets enormous problems. Check. Can't take the rook at the moment because it's covered by the knight. However, the queen and knight are a deadly attacking duo. Now here something very strange happened, because Nakamura started sort of gesticulating with his hands and shaking his head. We thought, well, what's going on? Well, his position is pretty rotten. And he should probably play king h1 here. It's still not great for white. After queen h5, this threatens a very nasty discovered attack. And white is in massive trouble. If the king steps here, then of course you can just play like this, and the king is not in a great position here. But coming back here, I mean, that's still white's best chance. Coming back here, actually, Nakamura played king f1, which is really bad. After knight f5, this was the game continuation, and Nakamura was still shaking his head. We just thought, well, he's just disappointed with his position, but there's more. There's a story behind this. So here, of course, the queen is attacked, plus a check happening. That bishop is in trouble. So basically, white has to give up rook for knight. And now, if we look at the material balance, rook against bishop and knight, but rook and plus pawns, plus a check, well, it must be tremendous for black. Remember, Carlsen only needs a draw. So he started just checking with the queen, and it looks like he's about to win the match. In fact, black can still play for a win however white moves here. You know, if king here, then you could move this rook into the attack. It's coming down here. But Nakamura kind of self-destructed now. He played king f3. And after queen here, he really went for it. Not a good idea, because after this check, rook e8 check, the king moved to the side, and then rook e4. That was the final move of the game. Well, it's not just that this bishop is dropping off, but actually there's going to be some kind of catastrophic major piece attack here, and it looks like white's king's not going to survive. So understandably, Hikaru Nakamura resigned this position, but there was a bit of a to-do afterwards. It turned out that in the middle of this game, Nakamura had received a message from the arbiter asking to abort the game. I mean, this is really bizarre, but maybe that was taken back. I'm not sure. Anyway, Nakamura tweeted afterwards, "Fun match, very unsatisfactory ending, with the arbiter writing a message to me in the middle of the game to abort while I'm thinking about playing king f1 or king h1. Not that it changes the outcome, but still." Right, so basically there was a bit of a fuss, but Nakamura obviously declined to appeal the game, the result of the game, and let it go. I think he realized that basically his position by this stage was already lost, and just thought, okay, listen, you know, that's enough. But you know, you didn't need to. I think one could legitimately appeal the result of the game, actually, considering that he was disturbed. But anyway, that in a way, I think natural justice was done. So Carlsen wins that match with this Armageddon game. If it goes to Armageddon, the point scoring is the winner gets 2 points, the loser 1 point. If you win in the first 4 rapid play games, you get 3 points if you're a winner. Ding is leading the tournament. He defeated Firuzja in their match. But that's just round 1. Remember, it's an all-play-all, and the top 4 will, after it's over, will play semi-finals and a final knockout. Right, more coming your way soon. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and do consider supporting us on PayPal or patreon.com. Links in the description. Thanks for watching.